I've gone to Coachella 4 years straight, and every year it's the same. The music, the sunburn, the people, the parties. It's basically a tradition now. I've gone every year with my friends, and every year it's a blur of wild moments and dirty memories. But my fifth year, that's when everything changed. That's when I saw something I wasn't supposed to. It started out like any other year. The sun was blazing hot, and the desert air felt like it hummed with anticipation. We were all hyped, music blaring from our phones, waiting for the first day of performances. You know how it is. Non-stop Instagram stories, a rainbow ocean of outfits, and that feeling that you're going to see something truly amazing. It's a rite of passage for any music lover. But the first day wasn't the usual chaotic paradise I was used to. It began at night, just before the final headliner, some giant pop star, I don't even remember who. My friend Josh and I were wandering around, grabbing a drink, when we came across this older guy. He looked like he was in his late 40s, graying hair and worn skin. He was wearing this old, faded Coachella shirt from like 2005, but there was something not right about him. His eyes were too intense, too knowing. I wrote it off as the heat, but when he spoke, I felt a weird sensation. "First time?" he said, leaning in close. "Nah, dude," I said, smiling. "I've been going for years." He nodded as if he'd expected that answer. "You know why people really go to Coachella, right?" His voice was gravelly, but there was this weird excitement to it. I was going to ask him what he was talking about when Josh, always eager to talk to random strangers, interrupted. "Yeah, the music. Duh." The man scoffed and looked at Josh, but his gaze came back to me. "It's not the music alone. Much more." He paused. "But it's not for everyone. Not everyone's meant to see it." I halted dead in my tracks. There was a quality in his voice that gave me the creeps. I figured he was some kind of conspiracy nut, ranting and raving, and I disregarded him. But there was this sensation in the pit of my stomach that this guy knew something I didn't. I shook it off and walked away with Josh, trying to laugh it off. The hours ticked by, but that interaction still bothered me. Later that night, the music was wilder, the crowd more frantic, but I couldn't shake the feeling something wasn't quite adding up. By the time the final act took the stage, I was already looking around, half expecting to see something out of the ordinary. That man's words stuck with me. It wasn't until the second day that things started getting weird. Josh and I were walking off to check out a set on one of the smaller stages when we noticed a group of people off to the side, separated from the rest of the crowd. My initial reaction wasn't to think anything about it. You always have those hardcore fans who claim the lesser-known, lesser popular bands. But then I noticed something odd about them. They were all dressed in dark, quasi-gothic attire, and they each had the same black pendant dangling from their necks. It appeared at first glance to be some kind of festival swag, but something wasn't right about it. They were all staring off into space, almost zombie-like, and I couldn't shake the impression that they were waiting for something or someone. Josh didn't notice, his eyes glued to his phone as he texted some girl he had met a few weeks back. But I couldn't look away. Something about that group seemed off. I wanted to go over and ask them what was up, but before I could, they started to move in unison toward the back of the venue. I elbowed Josh. "Hey, you see that?" "See what?" he replied, distracted. "Those people, the ones in black. What on earth are they doing?" He shrugged, finally putting away his phone. "Probably just some weird Coachella cult something. You know, the art thing. Some people take this festival a little too seriously. But that didn't sit well with me. I followed them from a distance, not trying to make myself known. They walked in this slow, deliberate stride, not speaking to each other. It was like they were in a trance or something. I thought I was being paranoid. I mean, it's Coachella. It's a land of weirdos, right? I lost them from view when they disappeared behind one of the larger tents, and I went back to find Josh. But that night, things happened fast. Later that evening, after a few too many drinks, I had once again found myself separated from the group. I was somewhat buzzed and just wanted to go see what was up. I was making my way towards the rear of the festival, where the tents and smaller stages were, and that's where I saw them again, the same group as earlier, in a circle. But there were more of them this time. At least 20 people, all of them with those black pendants, standing silently in the middle of the desert, under the faint glow of the festival lanterns. They were holding hands now, their heads down, their faces hidden behind the hoods of their cloaks. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. I had to know what was going on. I crept a little nearer, trying to remain hidden behind a stack of speaker equipment. That's when I saw it. The leader of the group, a dark-coated, tall man, stepped into the center. He lifted his hands, and in them, he held a small, strange object. It looked like a stone carving with markings on it. He muttered something under his breath, his voice low but distinct in the quiet desert night. Suddenly, a light brighter than anything I'd ever seen exploded from the rock. It wasn't a regular stage light or anything festival-related. It was unnatural. For a second, I thought I was hallucinating, but I wasn't. The people around the circle started chanting, their voices echoing out into the night. And it was then I realized they weren't here for the music. They were here for something darker. I stood frozen, my blood running cold. I knew I had to get out of there, but I couldn't look away. What I was witnessing was real. I couldn't just leave without knowing more. But then one of them noticed me. The woman's eyes met mine, and she smiled, a cold, knowing smile that made me shiver. I turned and ran. I ran through the crowd, my heart racing, with this sense that I was being followed. But when I looked behind me, there was no one. My mind was racing with the terrifying suspicion that Coachella, this festival I thought I knew so well, was hiding something far more sinister than I could have ever imagined. The next morning I tried to brush it off as I told Josh, but he just laughed it off, saying I was just messed up from the night before. But deep down, I knew what I saw was real. Now, as I sit here reflecting on that night, I know there's more under Coachella's surface that no one talks about. People attend for the music, the parties, the lights. But what if there's something darker to the festival? What if every year, behind the scenes, these cults are performing their own twisted rituals, all masked by the music and the chaos? The next year I didn't go. I don't think I ever will again. I don't think I can. There are some secrets that are best left buried in the desert.